Okay, hello everyone. Here we are at our second PramaTalk presentation interview with, today we have Sid Jordan, who's a member of our faculty here at Prama Institute, and Lydia Sabhat, who is an avid yoga practitioner. And we are going to be talking about somatic yoga. Maybe you've heard about it somewhere, or maybe you read a little bit about it. Anyway, Sid has done some extensive training in it, and he's going to present, explain to us what somatic yoga is, and what benefits we can get from it. Okay, well, take it away, Sid.
All right. It's a pleasure to be with you today with Prama Talks. So somatic yoga has many different lineages, and there are many different practices today of somatic yoga. But this grew out of the work of Thomas Hanna, somatic education. And his wife, Eleanor Criswell, I had the pleasure of training with for a couple of years. And this somatic yoga does something very important in terms of relieving chronic muscle contractions. And you change your muscles by changing your nervous system, by changing your brain. In other words, chronic contractions are maintained by the reflex, spinal reflex. And so what we do, we exchange that control by the spinal reflex for control of the frontal lobe for our thinking and decision-making brain. And so by changing the brain and being aware of the sensory feedback from those muscle contractions, we isolate those muscles and we learn to release those chronic contractions that have been a functional problem for many people most of their lives, from chronic posturing and a somatic response to injury. We can call it a trauma reflex. And so today we're going to illustrate the workings of this somatic yoga and how it's also related to Ashtanga yoga asanas. And so they complement each other quite well, which we will demonstrate. So we're going to begin with a little assessment of the client today, Lydia, and see what some of her issues are, and then we're going to work on those details. So right here, and I'm going to examine your posture to see if I see alignment issues. So Lydia has very good posture, only slight variations that I'm noticing. But what I'm looking for are the shoulders level, indicating some contralateral shift or loss of alignment. And so she has pretty good posture. It's interesting that the left hand is a little lower, indicating a slightly lower left shoulder. So that means that she could possibly have had some injury on the right side. But what injuries have you had on the right side?
I actually have a knee injury on the right side from about 4 or 5 years ago, but it's fairly healed up, but sometimes it can give me some issues.
So what happens when you have an injury is called a trauma reflex. To take the pressure off of the right side, we shift some weight to the left to compensate and to take the heat off of the right side, which has been injured. And that can lower the left arm. That can account for the left arm and the left hand being a little lower, and raising the right hand. See if I shift, exaggerating it, you can see it. So she has only a very slight shift, very slight loss of alignment. So if I have her walk, you may not be able to see all of this, but I'm going to walk over to the curtain and back. And then come back. Now, I don't know if you've noticed it, but this hand was swinging a lot freer. The left hand was swinging a lot freer because she's got a slightly lowered shoulder, so that makes the arm swing more freely. Another indication of a right side injury and trauma. All right, now lie down on your back, Lydia. Now I want you to rotate the arms outward, and when you do that, breathe in and arch the back. and release when you reach the peak of that move. And rotate the arms in and flatten the back on the floor. Now rotate through that a couple more times. Arching the back, flattening the back, exhaling. And this helps articulate the lower back. This is something I do every morning to get the back in good working order. Again, what we're doing is isolating muscles in different areas of the body. This is good for the very lower back. And also opening the chest. It's a good waking up exercise. All right, now you can stop that. And now I want you to just stretch out and Shavasana pose and see which side, if you feel any difference in terms of contact with the mat, right or left. The right hips, legs, shoulders. Notice if you feel any difference in contact, right to left. What do you feel, right and left?
I don't feel like my left leg is heavier on that than my right.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's just maybe a little bit more contact with the side.
For the leg feels more the left leg or the left hip.
The left leg feels kind of heavier on that.
Okay, all right, okay. So some lack of alignment. What about shoulder areas?
The shoulder feels pretty balanced if I have to pick a side.
Okay. All right. Now bring your legs back up. Bring your knees up. And this time, interlace both hands behind your head. And I want you to come up without pulling with your hands and arms, but bring the elbows parallel when you come up. And exhale, coming up and flattening your back. So come up and flatten the back. And parallel arms. And release at the peak of that move. And breathe in when you go back, arching the back. This is working the neck and shoulders in a very gentle way. The important thing to remember in these exercises is that it's being aware of the sensory feedback is what alters the contraction of the muscles. You become aware of it and you release it. You slightly tweak the muscles and release. Feeling the sensory feedback from those muscles. Now once more, and relax and come back into Shavasana. And now just feel the reverberations in the neck and in the shoulders from that movement. We're trying to attune you to all the sensory feedback from the body, from different parts of the body. In this way, the conscious brain can take over and release the contractions. Now turn over on your stomach. And place your right cheek on the top of your left hand. And let that arm swing back. And lift this ensemble of the head and shoulder and arms. And simultaneously the right leg. Go ahead and do that 3 times very slowly. And release when you get to the top of that. Do it very slowly, being aware of the sensory feedback, especially from the sciatic area, the hip pocket area, and the shoulder. But this is the contralateral move that helps recreate symmetry. And now slowly release that. And now shift to the other side. Putting your left cheek on your right hand. And lift the right arm and shoulder and left leg. And release when you get to the top. Again, this contralateral movement helps with regaining symmetry. All right. Now bring both hands up and rest your head. And be aware of the reverberations in the hip and shoulders. Being keenly aware of the sensory feedback. And feel yourself consciously releasing these muscles in your shoulders and your hip, leg. Now turn over on your back. And this time bring the feet up again. And this time place your right hand behind your head. And you're going to come forward and take your right elbow towards your left knee as you raise your left knee, letting your left hand gently ride on that left knee. And release. Another contralateral move. And again. And this is dealing with that, the difference in the hips, legs, and shoulders to help regain some symmetry. And release. And reverse the side, bringing the left hand behind. And coming up toward the right knee, letting the right hand gently ride on the leg. You're using the abs and the pecs to do this move. You're not pulling with the hands or arms. All right, now come back into Shavasana. And notice again what difference you feel right to left. What are you experiencing right to left in terms of contact with the mat?
I feel more grounded. I feel very equal.
All right, so in a few exercises, you start to feel more grounded on both sides. And of course, you're going to experience some success in short order, but in order to maintain that success, it requires some weeks of practice to have them fully released, because these muscles will fight to go back into the original contracted positions. So now we're going to do some asanas that deal with larger molar movements, larger muscles that complement these somatic exercises that have been isolating smaller muscle sets. So we're going to do the bellows now, Bhastrikasana. And you begin by raising your right knee and bringing it to your chest. Exhaling and holding the breath out 4 seconds. And then release. And let the air rush into your nostrils. Breathing through the nostrils principally is more beneficial in doing the asanas. And now the left leg up. Exhaling and holding the breath out for 4 seconds. And then release. And now both knees up. Again, you're doing it, going at it slowly and being aware of the sensory feedback. This is the way asanas are best practiced, to be aware of and embody yourself. Be aware of the contractions and the release of those contractions. Now just let yourself rest for a moment and be aware of the reverberations from having performed this bellows posture, the Bhastrikasana. Now turn over on your stomach and we'll do a cobra. And this cobra is a gentle cobra. The important thing is to have the elbows close into the sides. And the hands forward. Exhale all the air and then come up the first 6 or 8 inches should be just pulling up with the back, and then push up. The eyes rolling up toward the ceiling. It's a good ocular exercise. And here we're getting more expansion of the chest than we were getting in the somatic movements. This is a progression of that expansion of the chest and the somatics, and coming down after a few seconds. And we repeat that. Holding that 8 seconds. And release by releasing the lower back first, and then the middle back, upper back, and not releasing the neck, this vertebrae, until the very end. The cervical vertebrae are the last to let go. All right, that's very good. Now, let yourself be aware of the reverberating feedback from those sets of muscles you just used in your chest and back, lower back. And now, come to a sitting posture. And we're going to do the head to knee. And tucking the left heel in. And bringing the arms up. Breathing in. And then coming forward toward the toes. Exhaling. And you don't want to overdo this. You don't want to overstretch. Asana means posture with ease. So we should never go beyond the extent of the body. Never stretch too far. And gently and incrementally, each time you'll be able to stretch a little further, but never overstretching. And come up, breathing in. And down. Exhaling. And now switch sides. And coming up, breathing in. And going forward. As far as the stretch is comfortable, posture with ease. And this is definitely working out the hamstrings. And come up, breathing in, and exhale down. Now, in order to balance these movements of the forward bend and the backward bend, we're going to do the cat and the cow. The cat and the cow is a familiar warm-up exercise for most all students and teachers. Bring the knees directly under the hips. Bring the knees a little forward to better support yourself. All right? And now go into the cat pose, bringing the back up and bringing the head down. And reverse that into the cow's posture. And again, reverse. And you can see this is working larger muscles than we were in the somatic. But it's continuing to open the chest and work the lower back. Once more. And now, come back in the tabletop position and extend the right leg and the left arm. And this again is a contralateral exercise to help balance and realign the body. We do it on this side and hold it in a balanced pose. And then coming down and extend it to the other side. The left leg extending, the right hand forward in a good balanced pose. Now, come down and come into the child's pose, just for relaxation and letting go of that tension. And she's doing it when you spread the knees, it's much easier to come into this posture. And this is very relaxing, child's pose. that releases all those tension. Now be aware of releasing all that muscle tension that you from doing all these exercises. And now transition into the Shavasana. Very slowly. Again, being very much aware of all the sensory feedback from each posture you perform. As a recent article indicated, the more we understand our biology and our anatomy, the more successful we are in our somatic and asana practice. So now we're in the Shavasana. Let the arms roll out and the palms up toward the ceiling, and completely letting go. Feel the body settling onto the mat. And just scan your body from your toes all the way up through the head, through the fingers and arms and shoulders and back. Just scan your whole body and consciously let go and relax. That's the primary purpose of somatic work and asanas with ease, postures with ease, is to be very much aware of the muscles extending and letting go, coming back into their normal position with a symmetrical body. And these functional issues can be maintained for a lifetime, but you can resolve these with the somatic work and these asanas. They are functional in nature. They're not, most of these things are not structural. Even if you have structural trauma, that it's going to lead to functional contracting of muscles throughout the body that can be reversed with the somatic and yoga postures. So it's really regaining control over your body and the muscle contractions by isolating these muscles using the somatic exercises and learning to consciously let go by listening to the sensory feedback and letting go of this tension, making it a voluntary change as opposed to allowing your reflex spine to dominate and keep muscles contracted, whether it's due to posturing or reaction to a trauma that you've suffered. But you've seen that in one session, she can begin to feel more symmetry, more contact with the mat, and in several weeks' practice, you can begin to reverse problems that you've had for years by using the somatic approach combined with Ashtanga yoga asanas. Thank you for your attention today, and we look forward to your having a better yoga and somatic practice. Namaskar.